Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome, living beneficiaries, to the show for living beneficiaries, the House of Hidalgo show on the Estate Radio Network. Prepare for the most educational 60 minutes on all of radio with your host, Rick Hidalgo. The House of Hidalgo show can be followed on Twitter or Facebook by searching House of Hidalgo. Find the show on the web at www.therockofsalem.org. Sign up for the newsletter, and while you're there, take the 5-question survey to let us know what you think. The Estate Radio Network is part of the Blog Talk Radio family of networks and can be found at www.blogtalkradio.com/South Dakota DP. Join the show now by chat or call 619-639-4605. Don't forget to dial 1 to get in the queue. Here's your host, Rick Hidalgo! Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rick Hidalgo. This is, of course, another episode of the House of Hidalgo show on the Estate Radio Network. And we have another show for you today. I think we're getting up near 60 episodes of the show. I want to encourage you that there is a chat session that I'm just launching. If you go to blogtalkradio.com/South Dakota DP, you can go to the live page, and down at the bottom there'll be a chat that you can participate in. I'm just typing in questions here. All right, and so definitely you can go there. You can also listen to all of our archives if you go to therockofsalem.org, or you can go to theestateradionetwork.com and check out the top 10 shows of all time and, and what's coming up next. So I was supposed to have Todd Foster on. He's the co-host of the Cancel the Cabal show. Todd Foster had a family emergency, and we were all praying that everything's just fine. But I'm not going to be able to get him on today. But we saw a story that was quite intriguing, and I want to bring James Swagger in to talk to us about it. Let me call him in real quick here. James? Hey, James.
How you doing, brother?
How are you, man? I apologize that I'm calling you at this late hour.
Don't worry, man. I can't turn you down, dude. If you're in trouble, like so. What me for?
Well, I just want to let you know that we are live, and
buddy.
we are live, and I let everybody know that Todd Foster, who's a regular co-host for Cancel the Cabal, was supposed to be interviewed on this show, but he had some kind of a family emergency, and he couldn't be on the show. So we are all.
Todd loves the paranormal stuff, doesn't he?
Well, we love him, and we were going to talk a little bit about liberty and freedom and some of those kind of issues on this particular show. But I ran across an article the other day about this strange horned creature that got pulled out of the ocean.
Rick, I got your message, yeah, and I glanced at it originally before I got back to look at it, and at first glance I was thinking Nessie, and then I read it in the article. This could be a cousin of Nessie or something, or a relation of Nessie, but totally bizarre, yeah. You know what sprung to mind as well, Rick, was the Montauk Monster. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, you're talking about that little area of New York.
The creature that washed up on.
Yeah.
I think there was a second Montauk monster washed up as well.
Right, and a lot of people contribute that to the all the testing that's going on at that particular lab.
Well, yeah, and then that's what made me think then about this one. Is this I don't get the horns on this thing. It looked like a really long sea serpent type thing with horns. It didn't make sense. It's just totally abnormal. It's bizarre. Are we definitely sure the horns belong to it, Rick?
I don't know, James.
Yeah, it looked like it was found in two parts, but possibly, like, you know, I mean, they reckon that Nessie could be a plesiosaur, like a long lost dinosaur, like that still managed to survive all these years. And look at the coelacanth fish, like, I mean, it was supposed to be extinct, like an extinct dinosaur relic, like, and it's still living. It was found, you know. So we do have living examples, Rick, of like, you know, prehistoric creatures that are supposed to be extinct long millennia ago, like, you know, still surviving, like, so.
Right. So what is your particular impression, having having read the article and seen the pictures?
I think it could be real. I think it could be real. I mean, I think it could be just a forgotten. You know, it could be something from the depths of the sea. Like, you know, we don't know anything about the sea, Rick. We have no clue about the sea. It doesn't look like a hoax. I think it's definitely real. We just don't know what it is. Is an unidentified animal. I think you need to see a few of them before you could make any speculations or, you know. But yeah, totally bizarre. Like, I mean, the only thing I would conclude is that, like, you know, it's the length of the thing looked extremely long and extremely wide. So it's giving you this really already, forget the horns, like, it's giving you this abnormal eel look to it, like, you know, this really heavy duty snakish thing to it.
Yeah.
But, where did it wash up at, Rick? I can't remember where it washed up. I remember everything else about it. But
well, the article said off the shore of Spain.
Spain, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, but you mean, look that's on the right on the edge of the Atlantic there, you know. So, bizarre, like, totally bizarre. Yeah, it looked to be quite decomposed, so it wasn't a fresh find. That was the key thing, I think. But right. I mean, when you look at Nessie, like, I mean, it's sitting there in a loch. I've been to Loch Ness, like, and it's like 50 miles long by 20 wide or something. It's ridiculously long, like, you know, you know, they don't even know if it could support life in there, but they reckon there could be tunnels from Loch Ness going out to the sea, and there's like deep sea creatures that we have no idea. We're still discovering them all the time, Rick. Something that big, though, we think we would have found it by now. But I mean, unless we go down to their depths and into their terrain, we're not going to know. And I mean, the giant squid as well. Look at that. That turned up and washed up on a few occasions. I think all they've got is the tentacles so far. You know, and they know with the length of the tentacles that this thing is like 60, 80 feet long, like. So, yeah, no, just because of the tentacles that they found. Like, I don't know if they've actually found a really. I think they might have found a baby like one. Like, they don't even know if it's a baby or not. They're not. They're not even sure. Like, for them.
Yeah, for the listeners, you can go to discovery.com, and it is in the River Monsters article. For the show River Monsters that airs on Discovery Channel. Yeah,
is that what it was on, River Monsters? I've never caught that yet.
Yeah, apparently it's a blog that's associated with this television program. Says the local authorities were contacted and removed the pungent, rotting remains from the scene. It identified it as having horns. Displaced horns, but
it makes sense to me. The horns didn't make sense to me at all.
Yeah,
it really didn't. Like, you know, it's so abnormal, the horns thing. That's the key thing. Like, you know, that's what I thought maybe hoax first, and then I'm like, well, it doesn't really look like a hoax. It looks like quite an unusual. Even the rest of it's unusual, you know. But yeah, I mean, what a bizarre thing, like.
So
you would even expect the horns, Rick, to be on something like a really big mammal, not something that size. No, the horns seem to be quite big for its head, like.
So James, you know, the conversation about this on my particular Facebook page led to a discussion concerning, you know, a time long ago when there would have been. You know, the faculties in the environment in order for something to grow abnormally sized. You know, an increase in oxygen.
Sure, that's right. And they say that's what happened with the dinosaurs. They had a bigger oxygen field to work on. That's why they were gigantic. And they say that they, you know, there was just different times, like, you know, it was, the plants could have been bigger, everything was bigger, like, you know. You could have giant tomatoes, you could have been sitting, eating giant fruit, everything could have been like a monstrous, like, you know. We humans might have been bigger in the past, like, and it's only as a result of, like, a reduced oxygen field. And oxygen wouldn't be one thing, they actually reckon the magnetic field of the planet would also affect whether animals are bigger or not.
Yeah, in fact, some of the professional American football teams actually have these oxygen chambers that they go into to recuperate their bodies quicker.
Really?
Yeah, I heard the professional football team, the Dallas Cowboys, actually have this. They made an investment in this big chamber that actually oxidates the environment to the point where it allows their tissues and their muscle structures to what's the word I'm looking for here, to heal faster.
Sure. Yeah, you know, I don't know what would cause the oxygen of the planet to go up and down like that. Maybe the magnetic field, and, you know, that would maybe affect the stratospheres and all that. Like, you know, perhaps the oxygen field got to expand. More plants, the bigger the plants, the more the oxygen, and maybe that way. Like, but yeah, definitely. Like, you know, I definitely think that's for the dinosaurs, and I also think that's true of the humans, that they talk about giants in the past, that we may have actually been able to support giants because of, like, oxygen-rich environments, like. But they can do it with plants now, Rick. You know, I mean, they can grow stuff now, like, and put them in oxygen tents, like, and watch them just go abnormally big, like, you know, and in just in the right conditions, like.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with carbon.
Oh, sorry, carbon, not oxygen. Yeah, they
yeah.
Both, and we take the carbon. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
that fish was about 13 feet long, though, Rick. That's strange, if you want to call it a fish.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see it in the photo. There's a woman standing there, a man. It looks like a woman. You can see the end of the feet standing beside it, like. You know, it's like a dragon in a way. It actually looks like a dragon. If you've seen one of those Chinese dragons on the street, yeah, just laying out, yeah, like on the carnival times. It's like one of those, like, just lying in the sand.
Yeah, actually, that's a perfect replica of what one of those Chinese dragons would have looked like.
So they've even nicknamed it the cowfish, the longhorn cowfish. Huh?
Yeah, I see somebody here gave it the name sea unicorn.
I don't get that unicorn, because the unicorn's got, like, one horn. I read that and I was like, sea unicorn, that doesn't make sense. Like, surely you have to take one of the horns away for that. I'm a systems analyst. I look for details and problems.
Yeah, well, you know, we've got a dumbed down society. They don't understand that the word unit means one. Yeah. Evil, isn't it? But James, I don't want to keep you up or anything, so
I'll talk for a little bit anyway, Rick. But I just think, you know, I thought about the Montauk Monster, and, like, it's funny, I thought of it Nessie and it was in the article, and then I started thinking about the Montauk Monster, and that's maybe to do with biological, you know, experiments, like, you know, God forbid there's somebody in the lab making stuff like this, you know. Could be crossbreeding anything, Rick, you know, God only knows. Like, I mean, I watched a few episodes of Jesse Ventura's conspiracy theory, like, and I mean, he really went to town on some of this stuff, like, you know, it's scary what's going on, like.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the one on the chimpanzees, Rick?
Yeah, you know, I tried to catch them all, but, you know, the good old federal government here in the U.S. is real good about taking those things off the air real quick.
Yeah, we have a thing called YouTube over here, Rick.
Yeah, we got YouTube too, but try to find the one that he did on the FEMA camps. It's difficult to find.
Yeah, I can get you a copy of that somewhere, I'm sure. You might get it on Vimeo. Vimeo's good for stuff when you can't get it on YouTube. You just need to know where to look. But yeah, the one on the FEMA camps is crazy that they pulled that as well, Rick, wasn't it?
Yeah, real quick. And in fact, James, I'm a Dish subscriber.
Right.
and they actually pulled it off of my DVR.
Really?
Yeah.
They can do that?
I didn't think they could do it either, but it was gone. It wasn't there.
Joking.
No, I'm serious.
Your DVR and delete it.
Yeah, they can get into your DVR and delete it. Yep.
What type of state are we living in, Rick? That is insane.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of reports of this, and I was just one of the people that had it erased from my DVR.
Can you any way of getting it off and out of your DVR?
Not that I know of. I mean, there's probably some techie people that could do that.
Right. But it's like a satellite dish DVR type thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's probably all encoded into it and you can't get it out. Man, that's crazy.
I know.
That's crazy.
So
I got John Anthony West on tonight talking about Egypt in about an hour and 45 minutes. So.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. So you were going to take a nap then?
I was going. Well, my brother called in this morning and he didn't realise I only went to bed at 9 because I've been up producing shows all night, doing what I normally do, just working all night and then just going to bed during the day. But he asked me to give him a lift. I never got back to bed. So yes, I was going to go for a little nap. You nabbed me, and it's okay. I'm here, dude. I'm here. But yeah, it's just while we're here, I did that last show on the Kazakhstan pentagram as well, and just to tie it in with this, I mean, stuff like this gets pulled real quick, and you can tell there's something wrong when stuff gets pulled. Like, I mean, there's been so much disinformation put out about that Kazakhstan pentagram, Rick, and myself and Mike did a final show, an 18-minute segment, and we condensed all the best information we had on it down into an 18-minute clip, and it's taken off. Like, it's got some momentum, that the few shows we did, but I mean, I can't believe that this, just set aside the actual event of what we're talking about. There's so much disinformation. It's like one news article that has bombarded every newspaper around the world and every online journal, and it's the same article is regurgitated. I've never seen so little research done. It's just regurgitation after regurgitation, and all roads head back to one source, and the one source is clearly making things out to be wrong. If anybody could go and research it within 3 minutes, Rick, and find out that it's all wrong, if they took the time to do it, and I took the time to do it, which is my point. And it's not the type of stuff that I like to research. It's not anything that I'm into. But I seen something that was wrong there. But again, you see that Montauk monster and this stuff here. Well, not so much this case with the sea monster, but you got the Montauk monster turning up. Oh yeah, it's just somebody hoaxing. Oh, it's a raccoon or whatever it was. It's like they put this BS out, just to get people that they are probably biological experiments, Mm-hmm. They probably are, Rick. And I don't know whether they escape or they want to put them out there to see do they live in the seas, or God knows, Can't see why they would release them though. Maybe I can't see them escaping either,
Well, it seems like they would want to chip them or something, right?
Yeah, well, maybe the night watchman was sleeping and he slipped out or something. It's funny, you wouldn't think they'd want these things out there, but I mean, it's maybe they want to see them breed or something, maybe they want to see them in the environment or something like.
Do you want to explain to people, James, what you meant by the pentagon or the pentagram? Because I have never covered that on this show.
Oh right, yeah. Well, the Kazakhstan pentagram. I mean, Live Mike contacted me with this story that was breaking. It had only broke about a day, and I mean, it had 140,000 hits on YouTube. The Kazakhstan pentagram. And if you want to just Google on YouTube 666 Kazakhstan pentagram, you'll find my videos, because I'm the only one that's actually reported on the true fact of the measurements. And this is the key thing. A pentacal is a 5-pointed star within a circle facing upwards, and a pentagram is a 5-pointed star facing downwards. It's clearly the most recognizable sign of evil. Put it like that. If you know anything about the occult, you know that. Even if you don't know anything about the occult, you probably know that it's evil, it's witchcraft, it's satanic. A 5-pointed star facing downwards is not good. It's known as the Sigil of Baphomet, and this thing surfaced in Kazakhstan, etched into the ground, seen from Google Earth. You know, if you don't even like the occult, just go and goof off Google for a minute or two and look it up, because it's so bizarre, like, that you can see this thing from the air. But but there is a lot of geoglyphs. I have a video coming out there. I'm going to do it this week about other geoglyphs all around. And I found another one, by the way, Rick. Did I tell you about the Algerian pentagram?
No, you did not.
Oh, I did a little show on that, a little update on that. Somebody who listened to my show on the Kazakhstan pentagram took my ley lines and started following them and found another one. Now, it's not as pronounced as this one, it's not as fanciful, but it's in Algeria in the mountains, again in the middle of nowhere, right on the ley line. The ley line runs through the exact centre of this one. The pentagram's also upside down and it's got a circle inside it. It's bizarre.
So was it a park, James?
Yeah, a park that nobody can get to, right, Carl? You know, and this is the thing, yeah. So let's explain for the listeners. The Kazakhstan pentagram is a circle of a causeway. It's exactly at a radius of 666 feet, which gives it a diameter of 1,332 feet. It's been purported mistakenly as 1,200 feet, though I don't think it was a mistake. I think it was deliberately done that way to alleviate attention to the radius. It's at an elevation of 666 feet above sea level. That's two measurements, right? That is, I mean, you can say it was an accident that the 666 feet above sea level was there. That's a coincidence. But the radius as well, that's not a coincidence. You know, I have had nothing but attention diverted away from this thing every time. Alex Jones didn't want to cover it. I tried to contact Alex Jones. He did a piece on it, and he's supposed to be a Bible basher from the Bible Belt. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you know, he's like this, you know, out to take down evil. He's there. What is he taking down? Bohemian Grove and all. Yeah, he's supposed to be the one chartering all this stuff, and he doesn't want to address that issue. You know, but he did a 3-minute piece on it. It's done now. Forget about it. You know.
Really?
Pentagram popped up, done. That's why everybody went, oh, there's a pentagram, it's gone now. Yeah. Nobody's actually looked at the actual information, and anybody can measure this on Google Earth, Rick. This is what's so bizarre, like. And I did a little piece, and I took all the newspaper cuttings, and I just showed you them all around the world, regurgitating the exact same text. And what's even more bizarre is in the last clip I did on this was the city of Astana, which is in Kazakhstan, and you know, you just don't find anything in there on a Russian star like this. It's supposed to be a Russian star, like, you know, they brushed it away as a Russian star. I even have a lady in Brooklyn, and she's from Ukraine, and she's of Russian descent, she speaks Russian, but she says that's not a Russian star. She just laughed when I said, "What do you think that is?" She goes, "It's not a Russian star anyway." But you know, it's. Again, they said it was a park. It's a park that you can't get to. It's so remote. You have to get to it by a Land Rover. Why would you build a park that you can't get to? Then people said it was a missile base for the Soviet area. I'm like, well, a missile base would have roads going to it to store the missiles. They don't walk the missiles across rough terrain. Do you know what I mean? And
not to mention that wouldn't it be kind of a giveaway?
Yeah. Yeah, a big beacon there when you're looking down. Oh, what's that there? Oh, there's some missiles there too. Look, you know, exactly, Rick. So I mean, some of the ludicrous stories that have come out is just, you know, ridiculous, like, absolutely ridiculous, like. And I mean, the thing is, they've tried to divert attention away from the measurements, like. And there's 3 measurements. There's a 3rd measurement as well, because what's so unusual about this pentagram as well. And it's like similar to one used by the Order of the Eastern Star, one of these Masons, these Freemasons, and these 5-pointed stars. Sometimes the 5 points of the star doesn't touch the circle. There's a straight line taking you from the end of the point of the star to the circle. You need to see the image for this, I guess, but you can go to CapricornRadio.com and you can just find the YouTube channel, and then you'll find these videos in there if you want to check this out. But
Perfect.
Yeah, and I think it's podcast 41 and 42, and the thing is that there's a 3rd measurement as well, Rick, because the radius of the 5 points of the star is 444 feet, which is exactly 2/3 of the radius. Now the radius is 666. 2/3 is another way of writing 2/3 is 0.666. or 66.6%, whatever way you want to say it.
Mm-hmm.
0.666 times the radius of 666 gives you 444 feet. So they've got 3 measurements there, alleviating this annotation of 666 and into the monument as well. So, and then the monument's satanic 666. I mean, doesn't take brain power to work this one out, Rick. You know what I mean? A child will figure this one out if you just give them enough time and give them the details. But they're not giving the people the real details. This is the key thing, Rick. They're pushing everybody away. They got the archaeologists in quick. Oh, it's just a Russian star. Don't forget, go home. Right? Okay, so a Russian archaeologist analysed it. That's it. Forget about it. It's all done. You know, they give you the wrong measurements. Well, sure, that's not going to bring up anything. You don't know what the measurements are. So.
Well, what I thought was interesting, James, is you could tell that the pattern was produced that way on purpose because there was growth all around it, and it was the roads all around this place that were in all kinds of crazy patterns.
Yeah. I mean, the causeways to make this thing was a deliberate design. It was deliberate and functional. I mean, to even map that thing out, Rick, took some planning. You don't just start mapping out angles like that and circles at certain radius and all, like, you know. So yeah, it was an intensive ground plan laid out there, at specific measurements, at a specific ley line, at a specific altitude. You know, this was a very important place to these guys. It was built there for a reason. It was built there because of the height above sea level, because of the altitude, where it was at, its location, its remoteness. You know, you can't get to this thing only by boat from across the water. We see evidence of that across the water. I don't know why they didn't go across the water and knock on the guys' doors who have the little aerodrome or the boating. You know what this is? Because they seem to ask people 1,000 miles away what this is. Why didn't you just ask the guys that are with the little private facility across the way, whoever these guys are? Nobody seems to have reported on these guys.
You know, and there's another factor that I'd like to bring into this. If you're a group of people that have a message that you want to send out to a certain entity, okay, and that entity is in the sky or the heavens, would you not draw it on the ground so that entity is in a constant state of what's the word I'm looking for? Dishonor.
Mm-hmm. Well, that too, and Rick. And another thing I was thinking about is, like, if you're let's spell it out here. Like, I think this is a demonic, satanic park. I think it is a park, and I think it's for evil deeds. I think it's for private people to come here and act out their little processional walks around this little demonic upside down pentagram. Like, that's what I think. Like, God forbid, killing ground, satanic killing ground. I don't know. Like, I don't know what goes on at these occult parties. Like, you know what I mean? I haven't been to one. I don't want to go to one. We'll find out either. But like, think about it. Like, I mean, if this thing is this remote, these guys have to fly into this place, and it looks like there's a little aerodrome across the way. This little tiny little runway. I measured it at 450 meters. You need 400 meters to land a Cessna. These guys would come in by plane, and what would they see coming in by plane? They would see their little park. They're going to go and slaughter somebody, like, perfect little dumping ground into the dead lake to dump the bodies, like. It's bizarre, the location. Everything about this thing just stinks. It just stinks, Rick, of just bad behaviour, like ill deceit, like, it's not good in any way. But I mean, the thing is, though, in researching Astana, the city 1,000 miles to the south in Kazakhstan, or perhaps more, like, and it's got this causeways lined out like Freemasons would, these modern city plans where all these geomancy lines and all these causeways and all these lists, and they have a pyramid there and all, and it's bizarre looking. It's got a snake laid out and all these like canals and walkways and causeways, and this is apparently the governor is a Freemason, somebody was telling me, and it's like, so there is a Masonic element there. So is this their little park to go off for the weekends, and is this used anymore? I don't know. That's one thing I'm very unsure about. It's about the only thing I'm unsure about. I'm sure of everything else, like. But I had an author, Maurice Cotterell, send me a book in the post the other day, and because I asked him about it, because he'd researched the Masons, and I only got it there, but be sure, like this thing, I'm sure of it now because I don't have any materials on this. I looked some stuff up online he had a really good book on it because he had looked into this to some detail, but this thing's not good, Rick. You know, not when you spell out all that information. You know, but like I say, it's like, you know, it's all forgotten about. It's all brushed away. It's got its hits on YouTube. The people have goofed off it and they've gone home. Yeah, that's okay. That's interesting. What else have we got on Google Earth? You know, anything else interesting there? Like that filled my 30 seconds for today, like, of entertainment. Like, you know, so. But yeah, I'm glad and you know what? For me, it's research is research, Rick. If it comes my way and it's not done right, that's what I do. I fix things. You know, and I spot. Well, in fairness, live Mike spotted the 666 above sea level, and then I woke up the next day and I went, there's something else wrong with that. That whole thing is bizarre. And I couldn't. I was just looking at it, and then I just went, what's the radius? Like I was assuming the measurements they gave in the article was true, you know. But it's only when I went to measure. You can measure it under the ruler in Google Earth, like, you know, and they were very, very quick to dispel all this, Rick, though. Very, very quick. They even wrote non-satanic in the article, and the most satanic symbol you could draw is that thing, like, you know. You know, it's what makes me so bloody irate, like, that people aren't, God, people so gullible and so, like, lapping up mainstream news, like. Mainstream news is the last thing I would go to. I will sometimes go to mainstream news to look at the opposite of what they're saying, to see what's the truth. Because that's how bad it is now. They literally just roll out the opposite of what happens. You can nearly tell what's really going on in the world by looking at mainstream news and just flipping it, like, you know. Just take the exact opposite of what you see in the telly. Because it's all BS now. They have their little games that they want to roll out, and God forbid they call me a conspiracy theorist, Rick, but...
Well, it's the truth. It's the truth. Hey, James, I'm going to take a quick 2.5-minute break. If you'd like to come back on the other side, we'll keep the discussion going.
Yeah, sure, man. Sure.
I'll be right back. Do you need an experienced editor to look over your short story, script, or novel? Do you need help building a platform or self-publishing your book? Are you on the cusp of realizing your dream, but you need someone to help you with those few extra steps? Are you a business in need of an established copy editor or copywriter? Dan O'Brien has more than a decade of experience in writing and publishing, and his rates are flexible. All that matters to Dan is the integrity of your artistic vision, and Dan can help you create the highest quality work possible. Please email Dan today at amalgamconsulting@gmail.com or visit his website, www.amalgamconsulting.com. That's AMALGAM consulting.com. Write Dan today. Start your dreams tomorrow. Do you have hopes, dreams, and goals, but don't know how to reach them? Do you wonder how you could do differently to achieve greater success at home or at work? Do you feel like something is holding you back from enjoying your life to the fullest? Are you fed up with status quo and ready for real and lasting life change? Are you wanting to start a business or expand an existing one? If the answer to any of these questions is yes, then you are ready for life coaching with Mr. Attitude. Mr. Attitude will stretch and grow you and take your life to a whole new level of success by equipping you with the tools to help you to accomplish more in less time, get and keep your priorities in line, gain greater happiness and joy, face your fears, plan for success, be more assertive and confident, overcome negative stress, deal with negative thinking, set goals you will achieve, and more. Mr. Attitude specializes in results producing. Life strategy coaching for the personal side of your life. Small business coaching for those who want to start a small business or build a stronger small business. Train the trainer coaching for those who aspire to become a motivational professional speaker. Call today and reserve your appointment with greater success. 605-450-1955. That's 605-450-1955. Or email Bob at MrAttitudespeaks.com. That's MrAttitudespeaks.com. Mr. Attitude is committed to your success. All right, we're back on the House of Hidalgo show. I am the host, Rick Hidalgo, and this is where we're actually broadcasting live on the Estate Radio Network. My guest today was supposed to be Todd Foster. He had a family emergency. We're praying for you, Todd. If you listen back to the show, I want you to know that I do want to reschedule with you and miss having this time to interview you. However, we have a good friend of the networks, and that is James Swagger with us. And he, as tired as he is a live wire, and we appreciate you, James.
Sure, Rick. No worries, man. I'm a little dynamo. How quick did I turn around from I'm going for the snooze to let's do the show?
That was a real quick turnaround, man, because I was about 2 minutes away from having to go live, and I was like, hey, James, what are you doing?
Yeah, I know, and it's like you said, your guest dropped out. That was it. I would have, okay, I can't let you down, man. Like, I don't like to say no to people. I really don't like to say no to people, Rick. That's my problem.
Unless it's the government, right, James?
Well, yeah, I'm an anarchist when it comes to the government. They're not people, though. They're just like an entity that needs to be dispelled, if you ask me.
Well,
swiftly. But I started doing some little newscasts and anytime something comes up in the news now, I've been doing short little podcasts, Rick, just because of the Kazakhstan. But I mean, I just see things there, and I just like to put the information out there and try and do a little newscast now. So I'm going to do a few more. And there's this, about Göbekli Tepe. I think we spoke before about that, Rick, didn't we?
We didn't speak about it before, James, but I noticed that you did a little thing on it.
So I just want to mention that. Yeah, Göbekli Tepe. It's this place in. It's so hard to remember what I speak about on radio shows, Rick. I rant out so much information, and it's wide and varied, but it's mostly ancient cultures and civilizations and stuff like that. But
isn't that Turkey, James?
Yeah, Turkey. Well, from the very east of Turkey, right on the border of Iraq, 15 miles from the Iraq border, in a place called Urfa, you have a place called Göbekli Tepe, and at the moment they're the oldest freestanding structures on the planet. These T-shaped megaliths, T-shaped pillars that have wonderful, beautiful carvings. And it's hit the news again this week, and there's a guy. He's not the first to have a look at this now, but some people think look. Let's just say, first of all, Göbekli Tepe is only 5% excavated, okay? So a guy reckons he has it cracked already, but it's like 95% of it is buried, so you couldn't have any idea what the whole thing's about, so he thinks it's like the Pleiades, and, I'm open to that. I mean, it could be, there could be more to it than that or whatever, but there is some of it that is there is actually showing signs of alignments to the star Sirius, and here we go again. That Sirius keeps popping up with these ancient megalithic cultures, and in my own work and ancient Egypt, all around the world, they seem to revere Sirius, and so yeah, it's it's in the news already. People are waiting to have this thing on Earth to see what else we're going to find there. It's so interesting and so fascinating, this place. Thing is, it dates to about 11,000 years ago, and in about 8,000 BC or 10,000, I think it dates back to 10,000 BC for argument's sake. But I mean, after 2,000 years of existence, they deliberately buried it, Rick. Nobody knows why they buried it. Did they bury it to protect it? Why did they just backfill it in? It took more energy and time to backfill it in than to build it in the first place. They literally filled in a mountain, So, this place has got mystery after mystery there, and we don't know anything. This place was not even known about. It wasn't even supposed to exist, Rick. It wasn't supposed to even be there. And it's now turned up in the archaeological record, and in the middle of the 90s there, and it's been excavated ever since, and it's just throwing up more surprises.
Hey, James, I have a question.
Sure.
Do you when you say that it's how many years old you say it was?
About 10 or 11,000. The Ice Age, 10 or 11,000 years old. Remember talking the Ice Age?
Okay, 10 or 11,000 years old. What kind of measurement tools are they using to get these numbers?
Oh yeah, this thing's carbon dated. This is rock solid on the date. This is the thing. Normally, all the time when you get these dates pushed back and all, because we have this 4000 BC wall, call it 3000, 4000 BC, where it's the origins of all these cultures around the planet. The Egyptians, the Olmecs in Central America. You have the megalithic builders of Western Europe, the Chinese, the Indians, and this is like this. The origins of the culture and everything else was hunter-gatherer before that, and anything else that's ever come into question, they go, no, that's called into question. That can't be. That's wrong. That is wrong. But they can't say that this time, Rick, because the data says carbon dated. There's organic material found in it, and it's carbon dated to around that time, 11,000 years ago. So about 9,000 BC. But I mean, the thing is, it's not only that, it's extremely exquisite, and we know that nobody lived there. So it looks like if this was a religious, everybody said, right, this is the enigma. Everybody said, all these archaeologists said that we went farming first. We went hunter-gatherer, and then from hunter-gatherer we started making farms and domesticating animals, and as a result we overproduced and set up societies and cultures and commerce and all that, because we overproduced our stock, because we had the luxury to do that, and we set up all this, and then as a result of all that, then we developed religious beliefs. And that was always the intent. But this thing has smashed all the records, because now this looks like a religious structure before any sort of agriculture, like. So we know they didn't live there. So this thing is like 11,000 years old. It's showing evidence of some sort of religious structure and a belief system in something,
But James, I don't want to debate what you're saying, because you're far more knowledgeable than I am when it comes to that, because you research.
That's just the dilemma. I'm actually open to swing either way. I actually don't run with the whole religious thing, but that's what they're saying, is that this is the enigma, because I think it's good, because I think you need to broaden your perspective of what they mean by religious. Yes, did they go and worship something there? That's different to religion. They slap this religious label on everything, Rick, when they don't understand it.
Sure. But where I'm going, James, is that I'm going back to the carbon dating aspect. We figured out along, when Mount St. Helens erupted some years ago, the wooded area at the bottom of the lake, where there used to be a lake there, actually fossilized and became what's that called? Petrified wood.
Yeah.
Practically overnight, and that science says that that's not supposed to happen. And they would have carbon dated that thing thousands of years old. Now, so my question is, could there be an error in the calculation of that 10 or 11,000 years?
Well, the carbon dating is different because it's radioactive, and it's actual to do with a quite scientific measurement, so it's slightly different. The petrified wood and the formation of coal, I understand that argument. That's totally different, Rick. But I understand what you're saying. There is a similarity in concept there, but the science, when you get it down to it, is different. But yeah, I funny enough, I had Michael Cremo on my show, and he talks about the deep antiquity of man, and how we may go back millions of years instead of thousands. He jumps back for the extreme antiquity of man, and he's a very prolific researcher. I have a lot of respect for him. But if this coal thing, the deposits of coal and coal can form very quickly, as petrified wood can too. If that's true, or in the formation of oil as well, if that can happen in an overnight process, more quicker than that, just upturns the whole thing, and that might not be true. So we don't really know. But in terms of the carbon dating, they have. Organic matter has a certain amount of radioactive carbon in it, and as a result, any sort of thing that's radioactive has a half-life.
Sure.
Which is to do with an exponential curve. It falls away very quickly, and you can calculate from the half-life how long something was alive, within pretty good accuracy, Rick. I mean, you can say literally, if something's radioactive, you can say how many atoms are going to be left in so many years. You can pretty much do this, so. And that's why they still leave a little bit of an error code in there, plus or minus 20, 30 years, or the error margin goes bigger for the back itself. They'll say plus or minus 100 years or plus or minus 200 years or whatever. So, but yeah, I mean, the dating is about 9100 BC, like something like that. So it's funny there that Sirius has the alignments at the same time of this place. It's right smack bang in the middle of the Ice Age. It's not supposed to exist. That's the thing, though. It's not supposed to exist. But yeah, I mean, it's before anything. We've no known culture that we to link it to or nothing. Like, we don't know anything about it. Like, so.
Is there a way, James? And by the way, I'm just theorizing here. I have no clue. Okay, I'm not a prolific researcher of these kind of things at all. But is there a way, James, to reignite or reinvigorate something that's got a what'd you call it, a nuclear or a
nuclear deterioration? Oh, it's deterioration, Rick. So.
Yeah. But I mean, is there a way to reinvigorate that?
I know what you're saying. Not really. No, I mean it decays. Like it's a decay process.
Right. It's a law of thermodynamics, right?
Yeah, it's like it decays away as opposed to like it's radioactive decay. Yeah, so it doesn't come back again to regenerate to decay again. Is that what you mean?
Well, yeah. I'm just trying to wrap my own head around it because.
No, I mean the carbon dating. There's other actual methods of dating too with thorium, and there's other sorts of techniques and stuff. Like now, there is ones that I would like to call into question for geology, because some of these geology measurements, the carbon date is pretty accepted by mainstream and everybody else in between and everybody far out. It's not really called into question. There is other ones out there that are interesting, but I would beg to differ on some of them. Like some of it is relative. I mean, geological dating is relative. Like it's relative to something else being true. So if something else isn't true, then is that true? So it's like one piece of evidence relies on the other. So how can that work? Like it's not really logical. Like, but
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, that was just something interesting that came up in the news this week, Rick. Which I thought was good to mention. Like and
yeah, and go on with that. You were just starting to talk about how they dated it, and you believe by.
There is alignments to Sirius there, and the thing is, at that time, Sirius would have been below the horizon. Now, the star Sirius is like one of the most mysterious stars we have. It's the fifth closest to us. It's indoctrinated into every ancient culture. The Dogon, most famously, and it's got links with star beings there. Like, it's controversial. You have the Egyptians built their calendar around Sirius. They aligned their temples to it. They had their causeways of their temples lined up with Sirius lit up at night time, like like a little torch shining down their corridors, like. Everybody was obsessed with Sirius in ancient times, like, and here we go again, like the most oldest of ancient structures. But what's so special about the Sirius alignment of this one is, at that time frame, in 9600 BC or whatever, around the time of the last ice age, was that at that latitude, Sirius would have been dropping below the horizon and out of sight, permanently out of sight. And what would have happened was it would have been reborn, basically. They call it the rebirth of Sirius. So it looks like it's a very special time, and that could have well been, they think maybe an astrological calendar that this was marking the rebirth of Sirius, and that's probably why it fell out of use. Like like all these ancient monuments, they just moved on and did another one. Like because every 1,000 years the stars are gone, and something else. There's a new set of stars out, or a new epoch, if you want to call it that.
We just don't look up enough anymore, do we, James?
No, we don't. And it's bizarre. It's like you look up and you spend long enough up there, you'll start figuring things out. Like, doesn't matter who you are, or what doctrine you're from. Like you farmers. Like you have to be engineers or scientists. Like you look up, you'll see seasons. You'll see where the sun rises, where the sun sets. You'll see the stars. You'll see the ones in the winter. You'll see the ones in the summer. You'll understand that. You'll understand there's a cycle there. When you start understanding cycles, you see cycles within the cycles. So That's what these guys did. They understood cycles. We don't understand cycles anymore because we don't look up, Rick. We don't get it. Our cycle is money, and it's like going to work, and it's like slugging your life away and being a slave to the money game, So that's our cycle now.
And we
cycle, but
and we work against those cycles, don't we, James? I mean, a lot of people work these graveyard shifts, and that's working against a natural cycle.
That's right, and it's like, well, actually, in ancient times, Rick, they used to have 2 sleeps a day. They didn't sleep 8 hours a day, especially medieval times. I don't know if you know that, but they used to try and sleep 2 4-hour sessions a day. They would have like 2 mini cycles within a day, and apparently, health-wise, that's a lot better for you. And don't ask me why that is. I think it's maybe to do with the sleeping too long. I think is so. If you were able to, and you had a lifestyle where you could sleep 4 hours, awake for 8, sleep 4 hours and awake for 8. Who's going to get that in this day and age, Rick? I don't know. But that's the way they used to do it in medieval times. And what they would do is, they would work, maybe go out hunting at night time where animals weren't like, out during daytime or something like that. Maybe they would just work with stuff like that. So yeah, in a way, that's supposed to be better for you, in terms of sleep patterns and something like that and health.
So
who does that nowadays, Rick?
Where would someone go to find out that kind of information, James? That's very interesting.
Yeah, I read that about. It was in a book about medieval times, and it was about medieval culture. And I don't have it because I gave it to somebody, and I don't remember the title.
Okay.
It was some generic title like medieval times, medieval culture, something like that. Medieval ways. I can't remember. It didn't have a really pungent title like my book, The New Grain Serious Mystery. It didn't have some flashy title on it like get you thinking. It was just like, oh, what's this another book for? It was interesting because it talked about pagan traditions, and it talked about foods and stuff that you wouldn't be normally what they used to eat, and the mead that they used to drink and stuff like that, and stuff that you kind of forget about now. It was kind of actually like a little walk down memory lane in terms of watching Robin Hood movies and stuff. Like, it was like, you could see where they got some of the stuff for the Robin Hood movies, like,
Well,
yeah.
what's interesting to me, James, is a lot of those books, those archival books, a lot of those kind of books that actually explain how things used to be.
Yeah.
And how people learned and how people were educated. It's just disappearing, man. We can't find those kind of books anymore, and that's interesting to me,
Yeah, personally, I delve, and I'm guilty of it still. I delve into the history and the mystery books, and it's like all fact, and it's like, they're all just going to disappear. We'll forget about it, like, and so I do have some books on Celts and mythology and stuff like that, and I'm trying to get a bit more into that now, Rick, because I think there's some stuff in the mythologies there, in the Celtic mythologies, that's very interesting, and ways, and they used to have certainly in Celtic mythology they tried to preserve some of their cultures and ways, so they would have stories of Antarav, which is a Gaelic name. Antarav means the bull. Tarav is bull. Like, so they would have a story about the bull and the hunt for the bull, and how they all congregated as a community for this time of the event of the hunt of bull. Like, and there's also ones of wisdom stories and stuff, like about the salmon of knowledge. I don't know if you know any of these stories. Like,
is that like the running of the bulls?
Yeah, stuff like that. And then you have another one about this guy called Fionn McCool and his group of people, the Fianna, and how he interacted with all these, and you have hero stories, and you have stories of courage and bravery, and some sort of cultures, and how to survive and stuff like that, and survival stuff, like. So there is some stuff recorded in mythologies, but not in terms of medieval recent times, or like you're talking about, like. But like, I'm actually kind of, I kind of brushed away all that when I was a kid, Rick. I just wanted the fact stuff. I didn't want the mythologies. It was like, that's gobbledygook. That doesn't mean anything. That's not fact anymore. Like, and I'm funny enough, I'm coming around full circle to that now, because I think there is a core of truth in that, and it's like,
some of the stories are preserved and they're ancient stories, like, you know, and there might be something in there, like, you know.
I agree.
Yeah, and you know, there's certainly with the Irish ones, I don't know about there's the love story as well, Tristan and Isolde from Cornwall. I don't know if you know that one.
No,
It's a famous fabled love story about this guy meets a girl, and then they get separated, and it's tragic in a way, like. But it's
is that like what the precursor to Shakespeare?
In a way, yeah, but a bit yeah, a bit like it in a way, yeah. A bit in a way.
See, because you gotta understand, you know, Shakespeare had to pick his stuff up from somewhere too.
Sure. You know, Bram Stoker's Dracula originates like about 10 miles from where I'm at now in Northern Ireland. That he took that from Celtic mythology. And there's old Celtic mythology of a tale of in a little town called Garva, which is a market town, 20,000 people, something like that, something stupid, little farming town, little market town. And there's old Celtic tales of a spirit or an entity that used to attack people. And they tried to kill him 3 times, and he kept surfacing. But to kill him the 3rd time, they buried him upside down or something like that. It wasn't putting stakes to the heart. So Bram Stoker, who lived in Dublin, by the way, when he wrote Dracula, and he took the part of the tale from this region here, the Celtic mythologies of Garva and this entity, and instead of to kill him off 3 times, he used his stake to kill him, and instead of he used Transylvania as the setting, like. But I mean, so there was a mix of things there, but
yeah, I thought that was more of a Romanian setting.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He set the story in Romania, but he got the idea from like the town of Garva. Like, I mean, he modelled it on a guy who actually the psychopathic killer, the Dracula thing. He modelled that on a guy who was a psychopathic killer. He used to staple hats to people's heads.
Interesting.
Yeah, if he didn't have good manners at the dinner table, he would take a staple gun and staple your hat to your head. Not a very nice character, like, but yeah. So he was into all sorts, Bram Stoker. Like.
I'm kind of wondering if the Disney character, the Mad Hatter, comes from that.
No, the Mad Hatter actually comes from. But the name Mad Hatter comes from mercury poisoning. You know that. It's when they make to get the substance mercury, the element mercury. They refine it's in cinnabar, which is a red dye. The cinnabar is laced with mercury, by the way. And if you burn and melt cinnabar, you'll turn it into mercury. Like, you can refine it into mercury, but because you can't see the mercury in it, when people used to use this red cinnabar dye to dye red hats, to make the hats red, they use it as a dye, and they got it in their hands, and they got mercury poison, and they went insane, like, you know. So when they say mad as a hatter, that's what they mean. That's the origins of mad as a hatter, like. So.
Well, it's been totally Americanized. Okay, they've taken that whole story and turned it into something completely fictional.
Sure. You know, we have the origins of honeymoon as well from the Celts and the pagans as well, like, and they used to drink honey-based wine, mead. It's called, like the ancient drink, honey-based wine from one full moon to the next full moon. Hence the term honeymoon, which is like a pretty long time to be drinking, celebrating your wedding, like. But that's most people go on the honeymoons. They couldn't tell you the origins of honeymoon. But there is still pagans here that celebrate the traditional pagan beliefs and drinking the mead wine from one full moon to the next.
I'm sure. Well, James, this has been a blast. We got into all kinds of subjects, but man, you know.
I know what comes out when I'm talking to you, Rick. You ask me all these questions and we just go off on tangents. It's good, like, because I don't know what information's in my own brain till it comes out. It's hilarious.
Yeah, well, you know, I appreciate it because, you know, a lot of this stuff is educational to me. I'd never heard of half the things you talk about.
Sure, man. Sure.
I'm just a brainwashed American, bro.
I hear you, dude. I hear you.
So I just want to take this last minute here to you know, make sure that you understand that I totally appreciate you coming on today and.
My pleasure, Rick. My pleasure. No, don't even worry about it, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me, dude. Yeah.
Trust me, monologues stink.
No worries, Rick.
I had to do one the other day, and it really boy, I was like, man.
I did a 7-minute monologue and I can't handle it. It freaks me out. Doing a news clip and I know what I have to say as well. Like, yeah, monologues aren't good, man.
No, they're not. So,
well, if you're stuck again, Rick, you know who to call.
thank you, James. For James Swagger, this is Rick Hidalgo. This has been another episode of the House of Hidalgo show on the Estate Radio Network. Thank you guys for coming by. If you actually stuck around at the end of the show, then bless you. God bless, guys. Have a great day. Stay safe.